Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you have been paying attention to the crypto market, the last 24 hours have been a little shaky. First of all, if you just look at the daily chart, you'll come to the realization that majority of the altcoins, including Bitcoin, are just consolidating. They're just trying to give a little bit of time so the entire market is able to cool off from the insane rally that we received in the last 7 days. So there is a little bit more buying, or let's just say FOMO kicks in, and we will be able to see the next leg. But one thing that is a little concerning is every single time Bitcoin actually gets stuck after a very strong rally, there is a little bit of fear that starts to roam around because, especially after we cross the 100,000 mark, there is a little bit of people who are short-term traders or short-term holders who would decide to take profit expecting the market to have a pullback. And those are the people which are the hardest to make profit and at the same time make it much harder to set new all-time highs. First of all, if you pay attention to this, over 35 billion have flowed into the crypto market just in the past 3 weeks. That gives you perspective that a lot of money has been poured into the crypto market from very large whales. And on the other end, on-chain data shows Dogecoin faces a major resistance on 36 cents, while the key support level to watch is actually 21, which we have been holding very strongly. Or two key price points to pay attention to Dogecoin while Bitcoin ETF cools off with 96 million exit, while Ethereum ETF posts the strongest day in weeks. At the same time, MasterCard taps into the stablecoin territory. Now, before we get into the full details of all this, I highly recommend you scroll down and tap the red subscribe button if you're here for the first time and you want to stay up to date with everything to do with the crypto market. And while you're there, also turn on your notifications so you can stay up to date with the latest and the greatest news first relating to Dogecoin, and drop a like on it. Let's go for a like goal of 39. Every single like goal I've set, you guys have been smashing it, so I really appreciate that. Now, first of all, I just want to show you guys the Dogecoin chart and at the same time put it into the 1 hour chart to give you a little bit of perspective. Now, you guys can see that today morning there was a little bit of a shift in terms of the super trend, because the super trend wasn't a downtrend, but today morning when we did see an explosive growth, the market was able to push into an uptrend. Well, just in the last 2 hours, you can see that we're again testing where super trend might flip into downtrend again. But this is not only to do with Dogecoin, it's actually to do with the entire market. If we just pay attention, you'll realize that ever since the market has climbed to 104,000, especially for Bitcoin, you'll come to a realization that we have come to a standstill. Especially Ethereum is actually doing well. It's climbing over 2.4k, climbing over 2.6k to be more precise, because 2.4k was the initial one. And you guys can realize that overall the market is still in a very good condition. But if we are going to be seeing a little bit of selling from the short-term traders, there can be a little bit of panic that can happen. Okay, so just be a little bit aware of that. And on the other end, if you pay attention to this, President Trump says, "I am a big crypto fan." I mean, ever since Trump has come into office, crypto has seen a very good rally. Then we saw a little bit of winter ever since, there was a little bit of those tariff wars and things happening. And as China and US are slowly starting to get their relations back to normal, there is a little bit of a positive trend that can be noticed by the entire market. If you look at the Dogecoin open interest, it's up about 10% in the last 24 hours, while the long to the short traders, well, they're still in favor of long traders, sitting at the exact same situation. Even though the market shows a little bit of an uncertainty, the long traders do not see this as a negative sign. And on Bitcoin's end, well, let's just say the Bitcoin traders are expecting a little bit of a pullback, with about 52% actually going short on Bitcoin. This is also very interesting, which is President Trump says we're leading China in crypto. Now, what's very interesting about this statement? There's two things. First of all, back in 2017, 2020, China was actually strongly against crypto, because that was one thing that was making it harder for the government to be able to control all the transactions. But after seeing that Trump came into power and they're strongly in favor of crypto, China has been slowly trying to adapt crypto into their ecosystem. And currently, there is a little bit of a post, but obviously America is much ahead. At the same time, SEC needs to be a little bit more pro crypto, and trust me, the entire market is going to see a very good return. At the same time, stake and shake. preparing to accept Bitcoin at all locations offer Bitcoin branded burgers. This is huge. Now, if you just look at the burger, you can see that's just a thing that you can make it hot and just put it onto a burger. And that's exactly what they're preparing it for, to actually allow for Bitcoin burgers. And Bitcoin price analysts, all signs point to Bitcoin cooling off after the recent rally. Now, this cool off is not bad. That's what I'm trying to say. There's two ways to see this. First of all, the cool off can, put a little bit of a panic situation, because if you see that ever since we were able to see a really crazy growth, we've been consolidating pretty much close to 103 to 105. Just between that zone, we've seen a lot of demand, but at the same time, a lot of profit taking. And keep in mind, ETFs have actually experienced a little bit of an outflow after a very long period of time, about 14 days. Majority of them were just buying, and now they're taking a little bit of profit, and that's why the market is finding it a little bit harder to push higher. And another thing that's very interesting is the daily chart. On the daily chart, Bitcoin has surged from 90,000, clearing major resistance at 98, approaching a key level around 106. The RSI, which was trending at overbought level, is now pulling back, reflecting early weakness. And at the same time, keep in mind, the early weakness is not a bad thing, because if it's able to cool off, there is going to be more opportunity for you to be able to buy, and when the market climbs back up, you will be able to make profit. Now, Bitcoin, this is better than the golden cross. Now, the golden cross, which I'm talking about, is, let's just say we are able to climb over 98,000 so quickly. If we're able to sustain over 100,000, there is a lot more upside potential left, or let's just say upside fuel left into the Bitcoin market as compared to downside. And Michael Saylor says it's time to end the war on crypto. While 100,000 Bitcoin have been moved off the exchanges just in the last 3 weeks, clearly suggests, now if you guys don't know, whenever there's a significant move where a lot of Bitcoin is being moved off the exchanges, clearly suggests to one thing, which is a lot of long-term whales are actually deciding to hold for the long time. And this is exactly what we are seeing currently. While the accumulation trend score continues to highlight strong Bitcoin accumulation at the current price, and that's good, because that's exactly what we want. Then why is the market not climbing, Sky? Well, there's just the easiest way to see it is there's accumulation that's happening, but at the same time, the short-term traders, there's a lot of profit taking happening. That's why the market is consolidating so hard. Even though we're experiencing outflow of cash from ETFs, the market is still holding above 100k, clearly suggests that the buying pressure is equally strong. And XRP, Doge, Cardano holders warned by COINBASE. COINBASE is just saying there is a fluctuate actors making false claim relating to Doge available to trade. Just be careful. Do not send your money to anything. And analysts predict a timeline for the Dogecoin market, and the timeline suggests that it will take a little bit of time, but potentially all-time high can be hit by the end of 2025, because you guys know currently we are in a bull market, and the bull market is doing extremely well. We just need to make sure that it does not slow down, and currently there's not much happening, while the network metrics indicate surge in user activity, so there's definitely more upside potential. Other than that, the market is still in a very healthy condition. Just be a little patient and you will be able to book profits. This is not financial advice. I hope you have a great day and I'll see you soon.